We'll have a moment of silent meditation and pledge to the flag. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, it's 10:05. It is July 12th. All three county commissioners are here, and we have a packed agenda. So we'll start with consents and approval.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
We have 26 exonerations for $21,812.26. 3 requests to create new statements for $326.66. Minutes for July 5th, 2023. Vouchers, General County Fund, $48,237.20. These are all for fiscal year 23, by the way. Dog tax, $54,423.20. Magistrate Court, $41,776.81. 911, $2,699.02. Home confinement, $89,415.06. Chestnut Ridge Park, $4,709.08. Camp Muffley, $20,442.87. Mason-Dixon Park, $219.93. Mon County Center, $3,636.73. Assessor's valuation, $192. Payroll, $11,045.64. ARPA, $1,302.10. Purchasing card vouchers for General County for fiscal year 23, $27,029.98. 911, $422.91. Chestnut Ridge Park, $1,234.94 for a voucher total of $306,787.47 for fiscal year 23. For fiscal year 24, we have General County, $1,234.97.99. Chestnut Ridge Park, $4,474.88. Camp Muffley, $758.83. Mason-Dixon Park, $187.50. Mon County Center, $702. Reallocated coal, $30,000. Payroll, $1,718,104.20. Morgantown Industrial TIF, $3,705.57. Parks and Recreation, $39,490.80. Purchasing card vouchers, $15,528.48. Mason-Dixon Park, $162.21. Mon County Center, $781.02 for a total of $3,047,993.48 for a grand total of $3,354,780.95. We have budget revisions. One is required for coal severance fund that requires state approval, and that's for fiscal year 24. And do you want me to list each one of those off?
No, that's okay.
Okay. And then in-house budget revisions for general fund for county commission, dog warden, motor pool, and parks. Position vacancies for boards and authorities are listed on our website. And fiduciary orders for July 12th, 2023.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Bob moving second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now we have some fiduciary orders.
There's a recommendation from Fiduciary Commissioner Beth Umina regarding an objection to claims filed in the estate of Matthew Thomas Howell.
Move that we deny the claims pursuant to the recommendation of the Fiduciary Commissioner.
Second.
Bob moving second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We also have an objection filed in the estate of Arthur P. Scotchell regarding the publisher's certificate from November 4th, 2010.
On this, I would also move that we deny the objection of Mr. Scotchell to the that he made to the fiduciary.
Second. All those, okay. That's it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Would recommend Mr. Scotchell and the creditors in the Thomas Howell estate. All of our orders, of course, are subject to review by the circuit clerk if the petitioner so desires. So that would be the recourse if not happy with our actions.
Okay. Thank you. Introduction of new employees, and we have the sheriff here, the Honorable Sheriff. Come on down.
Good morning.
Good morning.
They need to see you. They need to see what you look like. That's good. I have with me, first I have Yolanda Hanson, who'll be starting as a full-time court security on July 16th. You probably recognize the second one. It's Todd Forbes, who I'm hiring as administrative specialist. Todd's going to be helping with grants, backgrounds, whatever else I need. And then we have Brendan Skavinsky, who will be working full-time with benefits, process transport, starting on the 16th.
Move to approve the positions as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
And Brendan, your dad went to University High, correct?
Yep.
I'm really glad, I had him, and I'm really glad that we continue. He was an exceptional student, got in trouble a bunch of times, but I'm really glad you're part of this.
Thank you all.
Welcome and welcome back.
Okay, we have day report. You're next.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I would like to introduce Madison Whitmore. She will be employed with us as a case aide part-time, with your approval.
Move to approve the position as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good luck.
Now, we also have the assessor here, who's been extremely busy, and we will see him later today. Morning. Morning.
Morning.
First time morning.
I'm here on behalf of looking at approval for Miss Gracie Wilson. Gracie was our temporary part-time summer dog program staff person last year, and she came back again this year.
Oh, good.
So looking for that approval to have Gracie upon. The start date was July 10th, Monday.
Move for approval of the personnel as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you in a little bit.
Thank you, sir.
Chestnut Ridge Park.
Okay, we've got Daniel Ziegler. He's going to be working as part-time seasonal maintenance for Chestnut Ridge. Start date is today, July 12th, $12 an hour.
Move to approve the position as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We also have Seth Weissman from, this is Camp Muffley. He is going to be part-time seasonal between concession and lifeguarding with no benefits. Starting pay is $10 an hour, and July 6th was his start date.
Move to approve the personnel as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
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 We also have one more.
Oh.
This is the day of hiring. We have somebody from CASA that is going from part-time to full-time, Jessica Pepper. Her new salary will be $36,000 a year with full benefits, and she actually started her position on July 1st.
Move to approve the personnel as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any more?
That's enough.
Okay. At this time, we have comments from the public. If anyone would like to come down, they have 3 to 5 minutes to come and voice your comments.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Mayor.
Patricia Lewis, Mayor from Town of Granville. And I want to comment on 2 items of new business listed on your agenda today. My comments in no way reflect County Commission or the developer, but I just think this is one final thing that I need to say in public. I think our legislatures have done a gross injustice to some towns and municipalities in West Virginia by passing legislation earlier in the year that allow another governing body to extend a TIF district without the consent of a municipality or town that is affected by that. I'm not even sure how that's legal to take money from another governing body without their permission, but they saw fit to pass that. And if it's legal, I guess it is legal, but it's got to be morally wrong to do that. But, that's no reflection on the county commission. So, I know that our budget has been thrown back in our face many times when I've tried to speak to this, but no time has anybody from our administration ever approached the commission or anybody in public and did not acknowledge the benefit that Granville has reaped from the TIF and the construction prior to the TIF. But also what has never been mentioned, nobody ever said to us, hey, for a Class 4 town, you guys did a pretty good job growing up with all that responsibility. We had 3 employees and 3 broken down vehicles. And I made a promise on a handshake that we would provide 24-hour police and fire as the town center grew. And we've extended that into 24-hour on-call street and office staff as well. So I'd just like to commend our elected officials, my elected officials, past and present, who saw the foresight, to make those tough decisions and the courage to commit those funds to do what we promised to do. So if you were standing in my shoes today, it's like we signed off for a 30-year house mortgage, home mortgage, and halfway through the mortgage, the bank says, okay, we're going to extend that to 40 years, and oh, by the way, you're going to pay the extra interest on it, because that's how I feel. But I know that you guys have a responsibility to continue to support growth in Mon County. Granville continues to support growth in Mon County. We're not against that. Probably been an easier pill to swallow if somewhere in this legal mumbo-jumbo language it said that there might be an allowance for infrastructure 35 years down the road that is surely going to fail, that is part of this TIF. I won't live to see the TIF paid off because of my age, but I have a responsibility to look forward and hope to set security financial security for the town of Granville long after I'm gone. Like I said, I'm sure you're going to play the hand that you were dealt. I don't blame you on that. I don't blame you for supporting growth in Mon County, and we support that as well. But I don't understand how the legislators let this happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll close. Okay, we'll close the public comment. Do we have any grants? Colleen Kuhn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have one request for reimbursement. It's for the Community Development Block Grant, and it is in the amount of $1,774.08.
Move to approve the president signing the grant documents as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Who is that for what?
MAYSP.
MAYSP. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Here we go. Correspondence. Notice received from the West Virginia Department of Economic Development approving the TIF application from the County Commission of Mon County amending the University Town Center project number 2. So is there anything else to be said on that, or?
They've raised the bonded capacity to $200 million
Which is what we were hoping.
and extended the TIF by 15 years.
Right. Okay. Any comments? Not at this time. Okay. No unfinished business? Okay, here we go. New business. To consider for adoption an order of the County Commission of Monongalia County which would approve the amendment of the existing project plan for the property tax increment financing district in Mon County, designated the County Commission of Monongalia County Development District Number 4, located in the area of University Town Center in West Ridge, and matters relating thereto.
I'll make the motion to move that we approve the adoption of the order as provided and ask our counsel to come up and give a summary.
Sure.
I'll second.
Properly moved in second, and please, Mr. Damon, if you'd like to come and try and explain in English.
Plain English, short and to the point.
Yes.
Tom Amon with Steptoe and Johnson, the bond counsel to the county commission for the West Ridge Special District financing. So this is the process that started some months ago, culminating with the letter that Renetta mentioned that was received from the State Department of Economic Development that approved the county's application with respect to the property TIF district to extend the term by 15 years to December of 2057, increase the bonding capacity available to the county for the property TIF district from $50 million to $200 million, and then also expanded the scope of permitted TIF expenditures basically to be coextensive with what would be permitted by the TIF Act itself. So that is the order, and it references the things we just discussed regarding the past history of the district. When it was formed in 12, West Ridge, Inc. as the developer of the district. The benefits being referenced in paragraph 1 as the justification, all those economic development and growth, employment type benefits, approval of the plan itself that was submitted to the development office and was basically approved as submitted. The extension to December 12 of 2057, increase in permitted bonding capacity from $50 million to $200 million, permitting use of TIF bond, the issuance of TIF bonds by the county to pay for the permitted project costs, referencing the but-for test for the TIF district. And that is basically, and has the letter from the state for the final approval date June 30th attached to the order. So,
Is there any questions?
No.
Okay.
Seeing none, then I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. It passes. The second part, if you want to just stay up there because I'm going to be bringing you. To consider for adoption a bond authorizing resolution and order of the County Commission of Mon County, which would authorize the issuance of its senior tax increment revenue refunding and improvement bond series 2023, Development District Number 4, University Town Center, the series 2023 A bonds, for the purposes of currently refunding and redeeming in the full the County Commission's outstanding 1, Senior Tax Increment Revenue Refunding Improvement Bond Series 2020, the Development of District Number 4, University Town Center, the Series 2020A bonds, and Subordinate Tax Increment Revenue and Improvement Bond Series 2020B Taxable Development District Number 4, University Town Center, the Series 2020B bonds, and together with the Series 2020A bonds, the Series 2020 bonds, paying costs of the design, acquisition, construction, and equipping of components of the amended Phase 2 TIF project for the University Town Center TIF District. C, funding a reserve fund for the Series 2023 A bonds, and D, paying costs of issuance of the Series 2023 A bonds, to approve the forms of certain documents to be executed by the County Commission in connection with the issuance of the Series 2023 A bonds, and authorize the execution and delivery of such documents by the appropriate officers of the County Commission and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion?
I think you missed a part. Can you read that again? I move that we adopt the bond authorizing resolution and order as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second, and I'll have Mr. Amon clarify. This is the difference between this, the first one was the property. This is the
still-
sale.
No,
This
no.
is still
No,
the
this is still
property.
the
This is still the
First
property.
one was the order extending.
Oh, this just now allows it, okay.
Yeah. This is the bond authorizing resolution and order for the next phase of the
Oh, the
contemplated TIF bond, property TIF bonds.
Okay.
And so, just to go through it here, it references the TIF Act and was permitted by the TIF Act, that the district was created in 2012, that we had the initial project plan that provided for various infrastructure and also expenditures related to the ballpark and interchange and those things that were in the Phase 1 project. Then we had a Phase 2 project that was approved in 2015 for some additional improvements in the district. That also increased the bonding capacity at that time from $30 million to $50 million. We had a boundary amendment and that was done in 2015, you'll recall, to pick up some of that area into the district around FedEx and that area out toward Westover. We had in 2020, 2020, the county had issued bonds that are now being refinanced. That was $37 million approximately in 20A senior bonds and $6,500,000 in subordinate bonds to finance what was called the amended Phase 2 project, which was approved in 2015. We then arrive at the actions today with respect to the order that was just entered by the commission, increasing the bonding capacity to $200 million, extending the term for 15 years, and expanding the scope of the project. So that will take us through to Section 1, which approves the refunding, which is basically just a term for refinancing those existing 2020 bonds. So part of the new bonds will pay off those bonds. Approving the additional expenditures relating to the latest expansion of the scope of the permitted TIF projects, so paying some additional costs in the TIF district in addition to the refunding of those 2020 bonds. And then we have, we have some approval of the various documents that are going to accomplish this, which is basically, a trust indenture that's going to be between the county and West Banco as trustee for the bonds. We have a development agreement, as we have for all the prior projects. We're actually doing a new development agreement between the county and Westridge as developer that provides for how the bond monies, the new bond monies, are going to be accessed through requisitioning, permitted costs to be paid from the bonds, how the actual project is to be undertaken, who the contracting party is, how the costs are to be paid, dealing with reporting with respect to the district as far as the annual reporting that's required by the TIF Act, and the referencing back to the requisitioning process and the forms that make all that happen. There's also a bond purchase agreement between the county and Key Bank. Key Bank is the underwriter for these bonds, and so it's being done pursuant to a limited offering. The prior bonds were a private placement with two banks, First United Bank and Trust and MBB. This will now be a limited offering rather than a private placement, wherein Key Bank will be purchasing the bonds from the county and reselling those to their investor group, which is mostly institutional accounts and funds. So it's limited to sophisticated parties, what's called accredited investors, and institutional investors, and so you're not selling to unsophisticated parties. These are mostly large, sophisticated funds that are used to purchasing obligations of this type. Let's see. We'll also have a continuing disclosure agreement. So the county, similar to like the Justice Center bonds and the excise tax bonds, there's a continuing disclosure responsibility so that the investors, after the bonds are issued, will be expecting to get periodic updates to allow them to track what's happening in the district and to monitor their investment. So that will deal with providing information regarding the progress of the development and the tax increment revenues and the increase and the increases in the assessed values that are occurring in the district. The county will have a part of that responsibility, and then the developer will have a separate agreement where they will provide more of the information regarding progress of actual development and projects and that sort of thing. A limited offering memo. So that's the offering document. It's a limited offering memorandum, approving the form of that. And that's a document where the county is describing the development at West Ridge and University Town Center, what makes up the existing property tax base, describing the uses of proceeds of the bonds and what the security is for the bonds, and that's just the property tax increment revenues. Mm-hmm. The county has no liability for any other source of payment of funds. There's no deed of trust or other real estate collateral securing the bonds. It describes, where the development is, what businesses and types of development are in the district. There is a revenue report that has been prepared by MuniCap that not only describes the local economy and the national economy in certain respects, but factors that are going to influence in the future anticipated collection of property tax revenues, and there's a projection of property tax revenues. So they look and, based on what's currently in the district and then what's anticipated, and they're only assuming a very limited amount of additional development for purposes of supporting these bonds. And that would include the Owens and Minor facility, which has a separate tranche associated with it. So monies associated with those tax increment revenues and that development will not be released at closing. There are certain benchmarks that have to be met demonstrating that that project is actually going to occur before monies are released from the total bond amount with respect to that. And the same thing with respect to a multifamily housing development. Financing will need to be in place and certain benchmarks demonstrating that that's going to occur, and then monies can be released with respect to that. MuniCap will continue to serve as the administrator of the district and also as the dissemination agent. So under those continuing disclosure agreements, the information is provided to them, and then they make the actual filings and postings. So then, all in regard to that, if you have it, there's this one piece of paper that has sort of the financial highlights of the transaction. And that would be the order authorizes up to $60 million in property TIF bonds to be issued. Based on current projections, that it appears it'll be more closer to $53,040,000 approximately. There's some existing money that's on deposit from those 2020 bonds that will be utilized to pay off those bonds of almost $3 million. And then as far as uses, approximately $15 million that is associated with new money that will be coming out of this for investment, either through part of it as paying off the 2020 B bonds that are held by the developer, and then approximately $11 million of that in new money proceeds, and that includes the two tranches that were mentioned as well. So a total of that $11 million in new money, paying off the 2020 A bonds of $35 million, the 2020 B bonds of $4.1 million, and then you have the funding of your reserve fund for the bonds, the paying the closing costs, and then there are two redemption accounts so that if those two tranches do not qualify for release, there's money set aside to pay off those a portion of the bonds and amounts associated with that. Right now they're looking at an approximate blended interest cost of about 6%. We won't know the actual terms until the pricing occurs, which will be, I think, the 20th, I think, is the scheduled pricing date for the bonds. It'd be 3 term bonds, coupons of 5%, 5.75, and 6. Again, those are just projections, but we'll have to see the actual pricing on that. Maturity of December, so we're going out 30 years to 2053, 30-year bonds, although the district with its extended date will not terminate until a few years later in 2057. You'll see here the projection of revenues. We're at tax increment revenues that repay the bonds. We're at about $3.9 million right now in the district. And then we're only factoring in the Owens and Minor and the multifamily as far as additional growth of that.
Mm-hmm.
The Owens and Minor, you'll see, is a pretty good chunk of that, $363,000. That's a lot of tax increment revenues. And then the multifamily, if that occurs, would add about $205,000. So that gets to a total projected revenues of 4.6 as far as what is anticipated to support the bonds, the repayment of the bonds being issued. You can see then the debt service. It basically just look over to the column of net debt service, and you'll see, again, these are just projected amounts. Start off at about 3.2, and then allowing for the build-out of Owens and Minor and the multifamily, it slowly increases to 3.3, 3.5, and then ultimately getting to 3.9 million in 2028, and then it levels out on a going forward basis at that 3.9 million. The bonds are being structured for 120 coverage, so taking those existing revenues where we are at the 3.9, and then if those tranches can be released, the additional revenues, and then 20% on top of that, so 20% cushion factor above the projected revenues. And then you'll see a column here for excess funds. So that basically 20% cushion factor, and anything in addition to that would be presumably used to pay subordinate bonds that would be placed with the developer. That's not a part of this transaction, but could be subject of a future property TIF issuance by the county of subordinate bonds to be held by the developer. So that's kind of an overview of everything. There's a lot going on there, but that's the best I can do to kind of distill it down. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer those.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
You covered it all.
Thank you, Tom, very thorough.
Seeing all those, okay, it's been properly moved in second. All those in favor for the adoption, say aye.
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 I can't read it. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much for that. Okay, something that probably the public can understand a little more. Consideration to approve a request from the Morgantown Utility Board for a financial contribution of $5,000 to the annual household hazardous waste event to be held on August 5th.
Move to approve $5,000 in funding as presented.
Second?
Pop moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consideration to approve a request by the City of Morgantown for a financial contribution to support the electronic recycling event in the amount of $2,500.
Move to approve the funding in the amount of $2,500 as presented.
Second?
Pop moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consideration of requisition number 80 for the University Town Center Economic Opportunity Development District subaccount.
Requisition is for $1,066,749.59.
Move to approve that, and that number is less the $100,000 statutory lien and tax administrative fee. I move to approve that requisition number 80 as presented.
Second?
Pop moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
F, to consider setting a public hearing for a proposed ordinance titled Regulating Pedestrian and Vehicle Safety. And if I may, just read a quick paragraph.
Okay.
if,
Yes, sure. Well, let's, how about if we do that as we're talking about it?
sure.
I move to approve that we approve the proper posting and setting of the public hearing as we'll set on the
decide.
date. Yeah, to be decided.
Second.
Okay, just
Okay.
very short.
Go ahead.
Today, I'm presenting an ordinance to be set up for a public hearing out of a meeting with all city governments that included police and elected officials. I believe we have a solution to dealing with safety issues at our intersections. The intent of this ordinance is to keep pedestrians safe, to stop vehicular hazards, and keep the flow of traffic moving. And we have the ordinance, and unless anyone wants to discuss it, we could set up the,
Well,
there's no need to discuss.
Well,
Do
I
you have a
mean,
date?
I do have a date, but have you all reviewed it enough that you're comfortable with going ahead and setting a public hearing at this
yeah,
point?
is that the point of us approving the proper posting and setting the public hearing from my standpoint is it's in a form that is appropriate now for public review and discussion.
Okay, so I am proposing August 16th. That allows us about 5 weeks to
Okay.
do the posting. It's Class 2 legal ad, so it has to be advertised twice. So that'll give us plenty of time. Now, yeah, that's good for us plenty of time.
So the motion is to amend it to add August 16th to the motion.
That's fine.
And you have a second. It's been properly moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes.
My only question, well, that's an administrative question, but do you want the ordinance posted in full as the public advertisement, or?
If we were, how?
Can we do it to a link?
Typically, we do not do that.
No,
we
we
just
do it
give
to
a
a link
summary.
or something.
We just give a summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
summary is fine.
And we can get,
And
and if
provide,
requests.
provide a link where people can go access it.
Yes.
Post
that-
it on our website.
Yes, that would be great. Okay. G, consideration to approve a surface owner waiver as requested by Unlimited Energy Services LLC regarding property described as Grant District Map 13 Parcel 16 as part of a multi-well plugging contract for the Orphan Abandoned Well Program for Region 7.
Move to approve the waiver as presented.
Second.
Bob moving second. Do we need any discussion on that? It's self-explanatory. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consideration to submit a nominee on behalf of the Monongalia County Commission to be recommended as the candidate for the Region 4 Director of the West Virginia First Foundation. Do I have a nomination?
I move that we approve the nomination of John Dower as the county commission's candidate to be named the Region 4 Director for the West Virginia First Foundation.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd certainly
Yeah.
like to discuss it.
Go ahead.
I've met John a couple times. I've always been very, very impressed with his work. Though we interviewed too for the public. We had 6
Right.
candidates. We down selected to 2 that we would interview. They were all great candidates, but we tried to pick the 2 best because of the time constraint and actually lining up in interviews and everything. So we had 2 interviews yesterday. The other individual that we interviewed was Dr. Rick Vagaleni. He's with W Hospitals, and his resume and talking to Dr. Vagaleni is super impressive. Mon County couldn't have gone wrong with either candidate, but John impressed me because he's lived the life of an addict, and he's taken that and turned his whole life into helping others do what he was able to do. And I think that just having an individual representing us like that is just so powerful and would be such a service to our citizens to have his voice representing our region. It doesn't mean he will. I mean, Tom's having the meeting tomorrow, and he's the county commission's candidate. But I really think that he'll do an excellent job in that position, and I really appreciate the work that he's done on behalf of this cause. I really appreciate Dr. Vagaleni for throwing his hat in the ring, and I think he'd be a great candidate. There's still 5 candidates that the governor could pick, and he would be also a great part of this board. But the county is only allowed to pick one candidate. We had a short, compressed schedule, and we picked one. And I think John will serve us well. The first time I ever met John, Tom and I were presenting to Generation Morgantown.
Right.
And we asked the group if they had any questions for us, and John stood up and said, how are you going to make sure that we make good use of the opioid dollars that are going to be available, and how do you make sure that they won't be wasted? And honestly, when someone asks, I don't pretend to know anything about, I haven't been in the trenches, I haven't been on our QRT team, we've been experiencing it from everything people tell us, but I haven't experienced it like John has. And to have an individual, again, he told us about himself before he asked us that question. But my answer is, like everything, if we don't understand something, we seek to understand. And people like you are the people we'd be looking for to tell us that whenever we get to this point. So fast forward 6, 7, or that was a year, I don't even know when that was, and this opportunity comes up to create this foundation, and John applies for it. And again, I didn't have a preconceived notion that John was our candidate, but I told him back then that what we needed to do is get people like you to help us with this solution. And I meant that, and with this action, we're following through on that.
Thank you. Good.
For me, it was pretty overwhelming, the quality of all the candidates. As Sean indicated, they all would have been exceptional nominees to put forward. For me, with Mr. Dower, it was his passion for this issue. It's his life. He dedicates all of his time to it until, as I think he said, till his wife makes him come home at a certain hour at night. And his knowledge of the state agencies that all through all corners of the state that handle recovery and prevention and therapy and every aspect of this ongoing problem, it kind of blew me away. And I think to have someone on that committee, if he's so successfully as appointed to it, as a non-bureaucratic type of panel member, he's someone on the ground. He's on the front line of this. So to me, it was his passion and knowledge that really that garnered my vote for this nomination. So I wish him luck, and I hope that the panel sees fit to place him on.
And I agree with everything everyone said. I've worked with him on several committees, but what also was important to me is that he's going to have to build a consensus with the other board members to get things done. And I think that he got across to us very well. And I also wanted the public to know that we had no idea who we were going to nominate. The three of us have not talked about it until you made the nomination. So we did not discuss it except just the interviews. And I want that clear too. So with that, we have a nomination of Jonathan Dowers, and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That will be our nominee tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Do we have any other? Yes.
Yeah, received one item yesterday regarding an affordable house program review committee grant application by Pace Enterprises. They asked for a letter of support. They sent me a draft of that. It's going to be a 13-unit residential facility for Pace clients.
Yes.
So they just asked for a letter of support. I've got that drafted. I don't know if you all had a chance to read it. It was in the folder.
Yes.
No, I have not looked at it yet. Is it our normal template?
It's very short. Do you want to read it real quick?
Yeah, sure.
This is something they did discuss with us several times, and that they were moving towards that and felt that there was a really need in this community for that. So I'm really glad that they are moving forward on it.
Terry Cutright is putting the application together.
Okay.
I'd move that we approve the letter of support as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do we have any other?
No.
Do either of you two? New business. Okay. See now, reports from elected officials and department supervisors. I saw Star City also here. I didn't know if you wanted.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
You were. you have the right now if you would like to come and address.
Well, welcome, Mayor. If you'd like to
Welcome
discuss.
first, and then you can come on down if you want to welcome, or you want to say anything, sure.
Tom kind of guilted you into it.
Yes,
Thank you.
if you just state your name so everyone knows.
Sharon Doyle, Mayor, Town of Star City. Thank you for welcoming us here today. We are familiar with the PACE application, which will be in Star City, so we're pleased to have some new development in the area. We're looking forward to supporting the solicitation ordinance and just looking forward to getting more involved.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And we look
Welcome.
forward to seeing you
Congratulations.
tomorrow, too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Doyle. That has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see anyone else. Reports from county commissioners, Sean?
I have a quick report. It's since last meeting, last Thursday, I had breakfast with Ron Lytle, Joe Statler, and Frank Devano as our monthly breakfast. Friday, we had staff reports. Monday, I also had lunch with constituent, and then yesterday, as we've been discussing, we had W First Foundation candidate interviews, which I participated via Zoom. Wednesday's a regular day. Tomorrow is the second Thursday of the month, which is my busy day for meetings. I have a partner executive committee meeting, Red Team, and Development Authority meeting. Friday, staff reports and a broadband sync. That's all as far as my schedule. Mayor, I do appreciate you coming to our meetings all the time. I do appreciate the correspondence, the work on the MMPO, your willingness to work with the Development Authority. You should be proud. You've done a lot there with a very small little town, and there are a lot of cities in this state that are very envious of you. So we don't always say it, but I do appreciate the working relationship we've had over the years. Even when we've disagreed, we've been able to talk about it and treat each other as colleagues. So I do really appreciate the work that you have done as mayor and your council. And again, we sit up here as elected officials. We don't always get thanked for everything we do. As a matter of fact, we get blamed for everything we do, and the thanks is far and few between. But I really do appreciate the working relationship, and I do appreciate all you do to fight for your city and to put your city out front. It is an amazing accomplishment. So thank you. Thanks to our council, our developer, for all the work you've done, we've been doing over the past. These things come up, and then we have like a real short period of where everybody's got to almost work night and day to get this stuff ready. So I really appreciate all you guys have done. Carrie, who is the Carrie Cecil, is the developers bond counsel, and Tom Amon and Jason and all your staff. Really appreciate everything you've done. Our partners, Rob Stepso and his associates with Cruise and Unicap and Key and the whole group, and obviously Ryan, you and your team. Thanks for all your work in working through this and what you've done with the development and what you continue to do. Last, I'd like to thank Tom for this W First process. This is something that got thrust on us about 2 weeks ago. It's been very frustrating, very time-consuming. We've had a lot of information, a lot of information thrown at us, and Tom stepped up and said, "I'll do this for the commission," and really has done a lot of that. Now, not at the expense of the sanity of our staff.
Driving him crazy.
Yeah, he's been driving everybody crazy around here. So I'm looking forward to your meeting tomorrow when that is finally over, and then we kind of step aside and let the foundation run its course. But somehow I don't think that you'll be stepping away. You'll be stepping too far away, that you'll be watching closely from the sidelines. But thanks for all your work in the last couple of weeks in taking up that challenge, because you, along with our staff, have done a remarkable job. And again, it's over tomorrow, so yes. Looking forward to that. That's all I have.
Just a few things for me. Commissioner Bloom and I had the privilege of attending the fair in Clay Battelle last night, and the dedication and the ribbon cutting of the new FFA Clay Battelle Alumni Barn. It's a truly remarkable building, and it's remarkable what they've done in a little less than 2 years. Raised and built a building that cost over $650,000. It just goes to show what dedication and local support, as well as corporate sponsorship and government input. We pledged a $150,000 match for the building of this building, and I believe he indicated that over the last 11 years, the FFA alumni has raised over $1 million for the youth of Monongalia County. They grant scholarships to kids continuing their education that have participated in the program over the years. And it was a great turnout and a truly remarkable facility. I'm still not sure how they got it done, but it just goes to show their dedication and the leaders out there, Keith and Crystal, that have really pushed that through. So I appreciate being able to participate in that. But not to pile on too much, but I do also want to commend Mayor Lewis's words and the work of the city of Granville. I mean, it's undoubtable that you've created a very impressive, I'd say, small city from a little borough, basically a little town that was there before. One of the best and most well-equipped and staffed police forces in the area, and nothing but professionalism comes out of that office. And from the meager beginnings that you spoke of, it's truly remarkable and impressive what you've done on a very small staff as well. So that it matters from my perspective, probably from your perspective that I say that, but congratulations to your town. I'd also like to thank the staff at the commission and the other commissioners for pulling a little weight for me over the last 10 days or so. We suffered a loss of my father-in-law a week ago, and
Excuse me.
sorry, it's been a tough week, but I appreciate all the pulling my weight over the last week or so we could attend to that very necessary family matter. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. First, I think we also are honored that both the mayor of Granville and the mayor of Star City are here. Who would have thought 15 or 20 years ago that you two are the movers and the shakers in this county and the growth that is happening in both cities? And I think we're extremely appreciative. As we say, we're strong because of the cities, and we want to thank both of you because both cities are growing and offering more opportunity for the citizens in our county. So I do appreciate that. I attended a Hope Hill Sober Center meeting, several, and we're going to have a couple more. We are looking at seeing what we can do to try, in a way, this might sound crazy, but increase the numbers to be aware of the program that we offer for citizens who need that. So we are reviewing that and moving forward on that. And also, this has been a very busy last week, and the next week we have continued to move forward. And again, I want to thank Colleen and Renetta, who have put up with my OCD and being a teacher. My problem as a teacher is that I think of every case scenario that'll go wrong, and they try and calm me down to say, just take one at a time. And it culminates tomorrow with this meeting, and I'm really excited to have this meeting and to represent Mon County and show off Monongalia County. One final thing I do want to say, I've received several, and I know you have too, some concerns of the bridges and roads on the interstate. Immediately as we find it, we are definitely call the DOH. They have gone out there, but this is becoming an increasing problem. And those two bridges where the holes were, I thank the citizens for contacting us, and we'll continue to work with the DOH. I know one of the bridges is on the list to be repaired, which is, I think it's the Toms River Bridge, that is severely needs repaired. The other reason is I know that part of this TIF district and growth also is exit 155, and the state is finally moving forward with Ryan Lynch's persistence to get the bridges done now. So we are moving forward, and I just ask that the citizens to understand that if they see problems or concerns, to reach out first to the DOH and then to us, but we will also follow up with it, and we thank them. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We be gone.